I'm 78 years old now. 78, and sometimes it feels like I've been moving through life wearing someone else's skin, watching the years slip past while thinking I had more time than I really did. I never thought I'd end up like this, sitting in a quiet room with the clock ticking louder than my own heartbeat, realizing that life doesn't come with a warning label. Not really. When I was young, I thought I knew. I thought I had a plan, a straight path forward. I got married at 24, had 2 children by 28, and threw myself into work like it is a lifeline.
I'm 78 years old now. 78. Sometimes it feels like I've been moving through life wearing someone else's skin, watching the years slip past while thinking I had more time than I really did. I never imagined I'd end up like this, sitting in a quiet room with the clock ticking louder than my own heartbeat, realizing that life doesn't come with a warning label. Not really. Not about how hollow success can feel. Not about how quickly people drift away. Not about how fragile we all are when the years finally catch up with us. When I was younger, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought I had a plan, a straight path forward. I got married at 24, had 2 children by 28, and threw myself into work like it was a lifeline. I wanted to provide. I wanted to be respected. I wanted to be seen as someone who had it all together. I took pride in my work, in the projects I led, the deals I closed, the titles I earned, and in that pride, I truly believed I was doing the right thing. I thought I was securing a life for the people I loved. But I didn't realize that this kind of security came at a cost I couldn't see until much later. I missed birthdays. I missed anniversaries. I missed simple dinners at home. I missed first steps, first words, school plays. I thought they would wait for me. I thought life would always give me a chance to catch up. And it did, for a little while. But eventually, it didn't. There were small moments, tiny ones, that I only recognized as losses years later. A Sunday afternoon when my daughter asked me to play chess and I said no because of work. The look on her face. She wasn't angry, not even disappointed, just quietly absent. I didn't notice then, but she did, and she carried that memory like a little stone in her pocket long after I forgot it even happened. I see it now, the slow cost, not in some dramatic, life-shattering moment, but in the accumulation of ordinary neglect. The phone calls I promised to make and never did, the letters I never wrote, the evenings spent at the office instead of learning my son's guitar chords. These weren't major decisions. They were small, reasonable choices that seemed necessary at the time. And now, 78 years in, they are the ones that have hollowed me out. I remember the day my father died. I was 38. He had a sudden heart attack. I was on a business trip. I didn't get back in time. I remember sitting in his empty house afterward, hearing nothing but the echo of my own footsteps, realizing how little the years would wait for me. That was a turning point, though I didn't know it then. Life kept moving. Work, responsibilities, obligations, they never slowed. I thought I could outrun grief, outrun regret, outrun the feeling that maybe I was missing the point. But grief doesn't care about ambition. Regret doesn't care about titles. Loss waits for no one. I thought I had more time to fix things. I thought reconciliation was always just a phone call away. But my daughter moved across the country. My son stopped calling as often. My wife, the woman who shared the quietest joys with me for 40 years, passed away 5 years ago. And with each absence, I felt life's warning more clearly. Too late to act. Too late to reclaim what had quietly slipped out of reach. There is nothing dramatic about it. It's quiet, like a candle slowly burning down without anyone noticing. And then it's gone. The wax is cooled and all you can do is stare at what remains. There are days I sit by the window, watching the world carry on, thinking about all the things I assumed I had time for. Learning to cook, traveling more, saying I love you more often, being truly present. I thought those were things I could do later. Later. And now, later is a word that no longer has meaning. Later is a luxury I can't afford. 78 years has taught me that the small, consistent choices matter more than any grand gesture. I traded presence for productivity, for approval, for keeping life in some imagined order. And for what? For a quiet house with echoes of laughter I let fade? Sometimes I think about my younger self, the one who was always rushing, always thinking there was time, always believing life would bend to his plans. I wish I could sit him down and say, "Slow down, look up, listen. You think you're building something permanent, but all you're really doing is letting the years slip by without you." But he wouldn't have listened, would he? I wouldn't have listened. And that's the cruelest part. The understanding comes too late. The clarity comes after the chance to change is already passed. Yet, even now, there are moments of gratitude, fragile as they may be. I remember the mornings when my wife would wake before me and make coffee, quietly setting the world in order so I could start mine. I remember the laughter of my children when they were little, running across the yard, careless and free. I carry these fragments because they are all that remain of the days that mattered most, the days I took for granted. I carry them with a mix of love and sorrow because they are proof that life was tender, even when I failed to notice it. People talk about wisdom, but I think wisdom is just the realization that most of what we chase doesn't matter, and that the things that do matter often pass unnoticed. The friendships that fade, the conversations postponed, the moments of affection skipped, these are the real measures of a life spent. I see it now in the quiet faces of people my age, people I knew in passing who are now gone, and I wonder how many of us left words unsaid, how many of us left love unexpressed because we assumed there would always be more time. I speak of regret a lot, but it's not a sharp pain. It's softer, a dull ache, like the constant hum of a heater in winter. It doesn't overwhelm you all at once, but it's always there, reminding you that time is finite, that opportunities are lost not in some grand disaster, but in ordinary neglect. I wonder if anyone listens when I say that, or if they hear it and think, "I'll catch up later." I hope not. I hope they understand before it's too late. And here I am, 78, thinking about life in ways I never imagined I would. I've lived long enough to see how fragile it all is. I've lived long enough to feel the absence of what I once assumed would always be there. I've lived long enough to know that no amount of wealth, recognition, or success can replace being truly present. And yet, I don't feel bitter. There's acceptance in this age, a quiet acknowledgement that life is both cruel and beautiful, and that the losses, the misses, the overlooked moments, they're as much a part of it as the joys, the laughter, the love we did manage to share. Now, I take more time to notice. I let myself linger over a morning sunrise. I sit a little longer with my thoughts. I call friends, even if briefly. I send letters to people I may never see again. I let myself feel the ache of memory, and also the warmth of it. There's a deliberate slowing of life, a stretching of moments that once passed in a blur. And I know this is something no one can give you. It is earned, quietly, in the shadow of years. So if this resonates, if you find yourself rushing, putting off the things that matter, thinking there's always more time, I would ask you, gently, to reconsider. Not because I want to lecture, not because I expect the world to bend to my realization, but because I would have given anything to hear it myself, 70 years ago. It isn't a secret. It isn't a dramatic revelation. It's just the quiet truth. Life doesn't warn you. Life doesn't pause. Life doesn't wait. And maybe that's all there is to say. Maybe the rest is simply living, noticing, and carrying the fragments of memory with a tenderness that only time can teach. The weight of 78 years is heavy, but it is honest. It is real. And in that honesty, I can sit quietly, in the stillness of a room that has held so much and so little, and simply be. That is all. Just being, with what remains, and knowing what cannot be fixed. I linger over the sounds of the house, over the quiet spaces that speak louder than words. I watch the wind move through the trees outside my window, the way sunlight shifts across the floor in the afternoon, and I feel a quiet gratitude for the simple act of noticing. It's not much, but it is enough. Enough to remind me that even now, life can be gentle, even in its relentless march forward. I carry the small lessons, the soft regrets, and the fleeting joys together. They sit alongside each other in the quiet of my mind, a delicate collection that forms the true landscape of my 78 years. And I understand that while I cannot reclaim the lost moments, I can still choose the ones I have left. I can still decide to breathe, to speak, to feel, to love. And that choice, even at this age, feels profound. I am 78 years old, and in the quiet of this room, with the ticking clock as my only companion, I finally understand life's most essential truth. Notice, love, speak, be present. That is what matters. That is what I choose to carry forward every single day. I linger over the sounds of the house, over the quiet spaces that speak louder than words. I watch the wind move through the trees outside my window, the way sunlight shifts across the floor in the afternoon, and I feel a quiet gratitude for the simple act of noticing. It's not much, but it is enough. Enough to remind me that even now, life can be gentle, even in its relentless march forward. I carry the small lessons, the soft regrets, and the fleeting joys together. They sit alongside each other in the quiet of my mind, a delicate collection that forms the true landscape of my 78 years. And I understand that while I cannot reclaim the lost moments, I can still choose the ones I have left. I can still decide to breathe, to speak, to feel, to love. And that choice, even at this age, feels profound.